Invincible. He's not Marky Mark. He is the original Vince Papale. Vince, how are you, brother?
Hey, what's up, my man? How you doing, Tony?
Oh, good.
you got a sneak peek, huh?
You remember we were there? You invited me. I'm in L.A. I was out there, and then Vince calls me and says, hey, you got to come to the Disney lot because we're going to show previews of my movie, Invincible. And I got to sit in the theater with Vince to see the movie before anybody else, except a bunch of loser media people who were in the theater at the same time.
That was pretty cool because I was, and Mark was right behind me, and I was pretty, when I was watching that movie for the first time, it was really weird because it was like a kaleidoscope. When you see the movie being done, they don't ever do it in order. Then all of a sudden, I'm looking at some, especially the football scenes, and I was like, God damn, how'd they do that? They made it look like it was almost like right out of NFL films kind of stuff, And then I was pretty cool until after the end of the movie, and then they ran the black and white highlights, and I saw my face, and I said, "Oh man, I think this is me." And then Mark was behind me with Gabby and Vinny, and they were all busted up. And then, if you remember, they flipped the lights on, and hey, we got you. So, yeah, man, it's good to talk to you, Tony. This is we go back a long way. I was thinking WED, WFIL, back in the day when you were in Barn Cannon, we're doing the morning show.
Wow. Well, you're old, but you're not as old as me, Vince, and you look good, and I'm a battered performer. And unlike Harry Mays, who always looks the same, he's always been a battered performer.
Exactly.
At a much younger age.
Is that Harry there? Yo, man, what's up?
Hey, Vince, how you doing? Good to talk to you, man. I'm just saying you might want to reissue the movie before the fall because it might be the only football we see for quite a while. You know what I'm saying?
How come there was no sequel, Vince? Everything has a sequel. There's no sequel to Invincible. And by the way, how come you don't have a statue at the Art Museum, but Rocky Balboa, who wasn't even a real character, has a statue?
Well, there's a lot of room on the left-hand side. We actually we tried to do that, but they just laughed at us. I said, well, then put Frank Rizzo up there,
No, they're ready to take his down for the last couple of years. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Kate Smith came down. Frank Rizzo's going to come down soon. But your statue, we got the Joey Giardello statue right here in South Philly that
they have. The boxer? Is that the
yeah, right here, right around the corner from where we live in the wine cellar. So we got, Philly's a great boxing town. But this is about football, Vince. And we were talking, I think last week we were talking about the USFL. And when we were at the Super Bowl together, when we ran into you, Bart Oates was there and all those guys in the very first team that won the USFL championship team. And we were talking about the lineup of that. All the great players who were NFL greats were on that team.
Yeah, we had about 15 or 16 guys from that NFL team, and Carl Peterson was the general manager, if you remember. And, we had from the Oatses and to the wide receivers. I'm drawing a blank on so many of the guys that were there, but about 16 or 17 wound up in the NFL. And that was, when I saw that and I saw the USFL, I'm thinking, if this the XFL thing, it works it and they work it right, this would be a great feeder into the NFL. And it looked like everything was going gangbusters, and then something happened, and there you go, the filing for bankruptcy. It's a shame, but. Well, we had Harry Donahue was our play-by-play, the voice.
Right. Yeah.
Remember Harry Mays? Harry Donahue on KYW in the morning. He was your voice. And one time we had a guy. He was returning a punt for a touchdown, and Harry got so excited he popped like a transistor in my headset in my ear, and I swear my ear was bleeding for crying out loud with that deep voice. Just boom. So it was some great times, man. I tell you, I loved it. 2 years, and of course, then they made the mistake of trying to go head-to-head with the NFL. And you just don't mess with God.
But that was a quality product, though. The USFL back then, and I know it folded.
A lot of talent.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of talent.
NFL Hall of Famers were on that team. Chuck Fusina wasn't an NFL Hall of Famer, but obviously a Penn State guy. And you talk about Kelvin Bryant, who played in the NFL with Washington.
Right.
I mean, that was
Reggie
great.
White.
It's Reggie White. Not on the Philly team, but in the league as well.
I'm just saying the league.
But, Vince, you've been doing a lot. You're still doing a lot of stuff. You're active. What's going on in your life right now? Because I think there should be a sequel to Invincible. Are there anything? Is there any? Because there's got to be. Everything. Stallone makes 16 sequels to every damn movie he does. How can there not be a sequel to one of the greatest football movies ever made?
It's called a franchise.
Well, I'm just going to have to get you to be my agent after this is over. Here was a sequel that we actually. Here's actually the pitch that we went out there. Because one of the funniest things when people always ask, how true the movie is. And you guys, you were around it, Harry and Tony. You guys were around. You sort of knew what was going on. But it was interesting because they messed around with my love interest, and that was Janet, my wife now 26 years. And they had Janet portrayed as a Giants fan and a bartender, and the great Elizabeth Banks played Janet, she was just so cool.
Yep,
love her. So much fun to be around. And we had to sort of make that concession because we needed the NFL's endorsement in order to get the branding right, so we could call ourselves the Philadelphia Eagles as opposed to the Philadelphia Turkeys or something like that, And some of the movie The Replacements and some of the others, they couldn't use, they didn't get the endorsement. So what they did is they decided, well, let's make Janet a Giants fan. So we thought, and in reality, Janet was on the USA World Gymnastics team with Kathy Rigby. She should have been in the Olympics, but she injured her ankle in the trials, and then she went on to be in the World Games, and then she blew her knee out, went up to Penn State, set all their diving records, and then winds up as a gymnastics coach at the University of Penn. Became good friends with Mayor Rendell. We had that nice connection. He was really influential in keeping the movie in Philadelphia, and a lot of it was due to the connection between Janet and Mayor Rendell when he was hanging around at Penn all the time playing basketball at the Hutch. And at any rate, so the story was, the pitch is now for the second one. Let's tell the real story about Janet, and that she was jilted by some guy, and she comes back, and the Olympic gymnastics thing, and make it sort of focus around her and take that side of the angle, and then in the end, have your 3 acts and all that. And I thought we had a pretty good thing, but didn't work. So here we are. We're stuck with one, and it's 14 years almost, Labor Day, and looks like we're just going to get stuck with the one. But that's all right.
It's an outrage. They should have you got to have it new digitally remastered. You got to have everything come back.
That's what I'm saying. This fall.
Yeah. At 3D. I want it back in 3D, Vince. Can you reshoot it in 3D and IMAX so that when we finally go back to the movies sometime in the next 18 months?
Add a couple songs to the soundtrack and reissue the whole damn
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm going to get you guys to do this whole thing. They can do anything if they want it. With cinematography, but it was fun to just have that one was as cool as can be, and I'm still doing okay with it. I'm actually I'm down. You're asking what I'm doing. I'm down in Jupiter, Florida right now. We were lucky enough. I did a charity event down here 5 years ago for the police, and Janet and I loved it so much down here that we're in a little burg in Jupiter called Tequesta. And
you sequestered in Tequesta? Wait a minute, you sequestered?
It's a nice spot.
Tequesta?
We're sequestered in Tequesta at Turtle Creek, and Ricky Fowler and Joe Namath and Ernie Els. I've been seen out on that course. So, we're here. And
wait, are you allowed to play golf in Florida right now? Are you allowed to go out of that course?
Places, yeah.
Yeah, a couple places. You can go there. Florida's a whole different ballgame down here in terms of their stay-at-home order. Mostly it was just, be prudent and be diligent and do your distance socialing and social distancing. And the Governor DeSantis has been rather progressive in his approach to what we're doing, and the county that we're in has been pretty clear and pretty safe. And
well, some people would not call that progressive.
Right, that's the opposite of progressive.
People are destroying down. What an idiot! What's he doing down there? Oh my God!
No.
That was my Angelo Cataldi impersonation there. Oh my God! What's he doing down there? What's he doing down there in Florida?
He's far from that politically, but I meant in progressive in the sense that the guy has a vision and he knows what's going on here in the state. And
just stay out of Tampa, Vince. Stay out of Tampa because the mayor wants Tom Brady to go inside. How dare he go outside and practice? By the way, how do you practice by yourself if you're an NFL superstar like Tom Brady and he was caught in a
well, you don't have to be by yourself as long as you're more than 6 feet.
No, but you're not even allowed to be in the parks in
that's
Tampa.
Ridiculous.
You're not allowed to be in the parks, and then the mayor of Tampa and the mayor of St. Petersburg, I'm sure they were joking, but you're not allowed to be in a public park. They're closed. So do you chase Tom Brady out of a public park when he's down there to save the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization and franchise in the entire Tampa Bay area?
Well, That's called blind justice, I guess. I don't know.
And how do you play football by yourself? Tom Brady's playing by himself. I've known guys who play with themselves in parks down here in South Philly at the lakes many, many nights. But how's Tom Brady go into a public park that's closed and then play football by himself?
You're batting 1,000 already, Tony.
Hey, Vince. Vince, how in the world did you end up in the hospital one time after having a catch with Chuck Fusina?
Oh, no, this was, you don't even want to hear this. Who told you this story?
Is this a legit story?
I just got a text.
I did not know this story.
Yeah, I just got a text.
I know who texted you. I know who texted you, Harry.
Yeah, it was from Sean Landetta, I guarantee.
No.
It was from a guy with the initials of HD.
Well, he was already brought up on this very program.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, it wound up. I got hit in a soft spot, as they said. I was actually Chuck Fusina, and then I was doing an interview, and Sean Landetta, back then you didn't cruise punt, you were doing angle punting, and he decided to angle one right toward me, and the ball popped up about a foot from me, right in front of me, and boop, it just popped right up, and there it was. Yeah,
but you still were able to produce a son who went to the University of Delaware, and a great family, Vince.
Yeah, all good. Gabriella, my daughter Gabby, I'm looking right at her. She's on a conference call with the Sixers. Gabby does the live in-game entertainment for the 76ers. So they're working to try to figure out how they're going to do things with an empty stadium if they're bringing the league back. And as I said with Vinny, we wound up getting a house down here in Jupiter to Cuesta, and as luck would have it, we had the thing just about finished right around Christmas. And Vinny had come back down here to train with a bunch of NFL guys and prospective NFL guys, and we came down to check him out, and then next thing you know, things got closed, and so we stayed down, and Gabby came down, and when the Sixers shut their doors. So we're here, but Vinny's working out, and he's got his program and his training program, and it could be interesting to see what happens this year because the guy's not having gone to the combine. We're confident that he might wind up somewhere. So either here or the CFL. But hey, when the opportunity comes, you guys know, you just gotta be ready.
Now wait a minute.
Get your ass ready.
Now, what's the weather like in Jupiter, Florida?
It's always great.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks right now. It's about 80, 85 degrees.
Yeah.
A slight breeze.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of a thunderstorm last night just to water the grass. It's pretty light,
Thanks
man.
a lot,
But
thanks.
you can't.
That's it, Tony. I'm going down this weekend.
I'm going down too. I don't care about the damn. So I'm getting out Friday night as soon as the show's over at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm jumping on a plane, even if I have to charter a private jet. I'm going down to Florida for a weekend.
I got people in Jupiter anyway.
You got people?
Oh, yeah.
Not at the Orchids of Asia.
Near there.
Have you been over there, Vince? Have you seen Robert Kraft in the vicinity of the Orchids of Asia massage parlor
right
down there?
across the street from Tiger Woods' restaurant.
That is great knowledge. Yeah. Is that closed down, too? Is that essential in Florida? I mean, the WWE is essential. How can massage parlors not be essential in Florida?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, you can get your nails done, but it's right around the corner from the woods. No happy endings there. But how did I know that it was just going to go south so fast?
What are you talking about? What are we supposed to do? Break down the draft? Who do you like at pick number 15, Vince? You have your mock draft board up yet?
Yeah, my mock draft. Vinny's not getting drafted, so he's a year beyond the draft. So I sort of, I know the Eagles have 8 picks. They gave a couple away to Detroit, but hey, we'll see. I have to say though that Harry and Tony, it's going to be an interesting year, and I think one of the biggest excitements for the Eagles is how they're going to put that secondary together. That is going to be fun to watch. I want to see how that works.
Enough about the Eagles. What about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now basically allowing the local government in Tampa and the St. Pete area to absolutely discourage Tom Brady, who went down there, has Tampa Bay T-shirts that Dan Patrick is selling online, and that's what they do to the guy. It's a disgrace, Vince. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess no mulligans for Brady. He should come down. He should come down here to Jupiter, or but he'd be coming. He'd be coming up across to Jupiter.
I know. I love the west coast of Florida. I'm a West Coast. Listen, I love all of Florida, except when it gets too humid in the summer. Then it's not humid down there yet. This is the best time to be down there, man.
No, it's a great time, and there's a lot of guys around, and it's starting to open up, So we'll be up in a couple of weeks once Gabby is ready to get back and get to work and get some things done. But right now, everything for me. I mean, I was supposed to be in Dallas speaking yesterday. I was supposed to be in Miami speaking a week ago, and then I had something out in Hawaii was canceled, and then the Kentucky Derby.
It's an outrage, Vince. It's an absolute. It must suck to be you right now.
Hey, you know what? That's okay. I'm talking to you.
Well, that's it. I mean,
I thought running for him. I mean, why not? The hell?
Did you get a stimulus check yet? Golf isn't cheap. Those Pro V1s aren't cheap, Vince. You know what I'm saying? Daddy needs a new putter. I mean, if you're living on a golf course in Jupiter, Florida, you better have the latest. We can even hook you up with some loudmouth gear. We're hooked up with loudmouth, and they got great stuff. You've seen the loudmouth stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it at the golf tournament. I don't live on the golf course per se. I'm in the community, but we're in a cul-de-sac. But I do walk around it. There's a lot of balls that are right on the street. I'm selling them. But, I got to sell them back to these guys, I mean, I got to make a buck here. I mean, I'm like a little kid. I put all the balls in a little egg crate, and, hey, I'll sell your ball back for a quarter.
So you can't take that Italian, Philly, South Jersey guy out of him. No matter how successful he is, you always have that ingrained in you. Like when you would find a half ball on top of your roof when you grew up in the city, or somebody would lose a pimple ball that we used to play in the streets with.
Sure.
You always wanted one of those.
Now, did you tape the broomsticks or the bats?
We did everything. That? We did whatever we needed to do, Harry. We didn't have $800 bats when we were kids. You know what I mean? We didn't have to go out and buy. Oh, Dad, I need one of those Louisville Slugger.
They shut down. Did you see that?
Yes, it's an outrage, Vince.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Louisville Slugger.
Yeah. Well, right now everything's an outrage. It's just something it comes back. It's been an interesting thing to watch. But hey, I'm trying to look at the silver lining. And we all have that. Look at you, man. I mean, you're stuck down there in your wine cellar with Miss Robin, for Christ's sake. Look, I mean, crying out loud.
Hey, we're on all over the country now. Everybody, listen. I got hired with no sports to talk about, Vince. And I'm losing weight when everybody's putting on weight.
Me too, yeah.
So I'm doing two things that go completely against the norm, and that's the way I like it, brother.
Yeah, what are those two things?
We're on a keto diet. We're losing weight when everybody's putting on weight because they're stuck inside. And I got a job doing sports talk when there's no sports to talk about. Come on now, Vince.
You can do virtual sports. I mean, these guys. I can't. I just cannot. Harry, can you? I know the Eagles. I get all the stuff. We're going to show this game. I can't watch that game again, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It's like, unless it's a Super Bowl, and I've only watched that. But I can watch Invincible again. That's for sure. So,
how many times have you watched it? Seriously, Vince. How many times?
75. 75.
Really?
I was just. I was actually. We're in a couple of the series. I've already gone through Ozark. We went through the Jack Ryan series, and in the Jack Ryan series, the one guy, the CIA guy, the bald guy, that does the haircut, the haircuttery commercials. That's Mike Kelly. That's Mike Kelly, a Philly guy who plays Petey in our movie. And so now because of him, I started watching what's it. House of Cards, and so
that's good too.
That's it. And then here there's so much to do, and with Vinny, we have a pretty cool.
You're killing me, Vince. You're killing me, Petey. Yeah. You're killing me, as they said in the movie.
Yeah, that's it. Petey. That's right. He's the guy that says, "Hey, man, even if you're down there for just a minute, you're down there." Right, and that great scene outside of Max's. Max's, by the way, is still there. It's now called the Tumble Inn on Prospect Park. Yeah, who hangs there all the time is Zach Hill. Zach from Flyers.
Absolutely, great Zach Hill.
Yeah, the PR guy.
Yeah. Zach Hill. Yeah. He does right behind us. So,
it looks like we're. You know what this sounds like? We're standing on the corner.
The stoop.
in the stoop, and we're talking about stuff in the neighborhood. People don't care about this stuff, Vince. They're pissed off that you're in Jupiter, Florida, playing golf every day.
With Ricky Fowler.
And
Joe Namath.
And Joe Namath, and we're sitting in crappy weather in the northeastern part of the United States where you can't even buy a bottle of wine or a bottle of booze right now. It's an absolute outrage.
Yeah, there it is. There it is, outrage. I tell you, you're making me feel really guilty, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Hey, listen, I wanted to come up in the worst way, but they shut us out. They closed us out, closing the borders. So what am I going to do, you know?
Listen, we feel for you, man. I know it's got to be tough. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine being in Florida right now doing this show in Jupiter in a beautiful place, right, Harry?
Yep. I told you.
You don't even want to know what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, don't tell me.
You don't want to know what I'm looking at right now either.
Because I already know what he's looking at.
Hey, Vince, this is Miss Robin. You better be careful because we're going to be making a road trip and setting up shop in one of your rooms down there.
I turned the guest room into a studio, actually.
Exactly right.
I'm doing some podcasts and stuff like that. That's the best way to say all that. But I'm doing some cyber stuff now, which is pretty cool, and that's fun to do this room. And I actually spoke. One of the coolest things I've done, actually, I spoke to 50 kids over in Italy that have been quarantined for almost 2 months.
Wow! Did you speak Italian? Is your Italian good?
Chooch. That's what my grandfather used to call me. Yeah, you Chooch. I thought he was calling me a nice kid. I didn't realize he was calling me a jackass. But but these kids, they're bilingual. They speak English very fluently, and it was so cool. 6 hours difference to be there, and I have a couple of those things set up. So hey, that's what it's all improvise and adjust, right, guys? You just got to make best and find that silver lining, and now I'm with the family, and that's a beautiful thing.
There's only two things you got to know, Vince, as we have to go to break. There's only two things you need to know when you're talking to an Italian. If you're a man, you say,
Baffangulo, eh?
And then the woman says back to you, that's how it works. The great Vince Papale from Invincible fame and a great friend down in Florida. Vince, thanks so much for popping on, brother. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Vince.
Hey, you're welcome. See you, man. See you, Tony. Harry, I'll see you guys when we get back to town. There's always room for you to add a bottle of wine, too, for you guys.
Oh, beautiful, man. I want it room temperature. There he is.